for the most part, women's mating strategy or selection strategy has not evolved with the current state of the world, right? Women generally look for, you ladies generally look for men who are up and to the right. You want to date men who are up and to the right, meaning, now men, let's talk to you, because men are disenfranchised. And again, I'm just going to say this right out of the gates. Neither one is better or worse, right? This is a equal 100% contribution to the gong show of modern relationships and modern dating, okay? Whether you are single, dating, in a relationship, situationship, married, wherever you are on the relationship spectrum, what most people are saying is that relationships have gotten a lot harder. Dating has gotten a lot harder. Maintaining a relationship has gotten a lot harder.
So already I do not like this video. I don't like this video because the person doing the review, the person speaking right now, is saying that other people are saying this about relationship. You have to accept the premise to be making this video, or you're addressing a very minute, irrelevant group of people that really have nothing interesting to add. So when you say people, a lot of people are saying that relationship is getting hard, dating is getting hard. I'm not sure if you've accepted in I'm not sure if you've accepted in this video at all that dating a relationship is getting hard. So I don't know what to do with that. So I'm going to accept that this person has accepted that dating is getting a lot harder, right? Now, for who is dating getting a lot harder? This is claim one. If I had a whiteboard, I would put claim one, dating has gotten a lot harder. That is the assertion. The question now fundamentally is, for, for who has dating gotten a lot harder? I don't know for who. What does it mean for dating to be harder? Right? Because there's no point in history where dating has been easier in terms of choice, bodily autonomy, access to finance, money, being able to pay their own way for women. Dating for women today is the easiest it has ever been if we're using the markers of choice, ability to walk away, autonomy, and their own money. Now, dating is difficult for women because men are unaliving women. So I'm not sure what the standard is, what the metric being used for how hard or easy dating is. But in terms of access, women have the easiest access to men now. So it's not harder for women today than it was in the past. But I don't actually think this is about women. The video that is being made is not about women. Dating is easier for women today than it has ever been in the past, unless you prefer to be dating in a system, in a society where you as a woman don't have choices, where you actually need a man, and the first man to show up to your doorstep with finances intact is going to be your husband because your family gonna sell you off. Like, is that what, like, I'm confused. Do you prefer when women couldn't get a line of credit and couldn't have meaningful ownership over their labor and the resources that come from their labor? I don't know what society you're talking about. So it seems like dating is hard because women have rights. Like, they're not gonna say that, but it feels like that is the implication here.
Now, of course, we could point our finger at the dating apps, which certainly aren't helping, and we could talk about that endlessly. The system that people are operating in, the inflation, the economy, the court systems, the legality of marriage, all play a role. But in all of those things, and behind all those things, and in all relationships, there are people. Let's start with you, ladies. Women are delusional.
People are delusional. I think it is weird. It feels like this is meaningfully disrespectful, right? To say women are delusional, ignore the fact that literally everyone who engage in the dating market to some extent are delusional. Unless you're going to redefine what it means to be delusional, everyone involved is delusional. Now, this feels like it's feeding very heavily into the manosphere, in particular to create a narrative in terms of how you're going to get your video in the algorithm by saying women are delusional. This is the title. It says women are delusional and men are disenfranchised. We're going to get to disenfranchised in a minute because that claim doesn't make any sense. So you made a video and the thumbnail has women are delusional to just be disrespectful. Like, what? Okay.
And there are three things that are making women delusional within the current dating and relationship world that I think everybody should be aware of. And men, I'm going to address you next. You're not off the hook. First and foremost, ladies, your expectations. We need to talk about your expectations.
By your expectation, what he means is your standards. Now, I'm going to engage with this. I'm going to engage with this fully because I want to accept his framing, so I need to understand it first before I can accept it and then address it, right? So your expectations are too out of whack. I think he's saying your standards are too high, but for some reason he doesn't want to use the word standards, but expectation is analogous in his mind. So let him cook with this expectation foolishness.
Now, I know some women are going to be immediately in the comments about this one. Men just need to rise up. Men need to be better. Men need to da-da-da-da-da-da. I get it. Sometimes that is the case.
Isn't that the case generally? Would he disagree with the statement that men need to be better and do better? Whether it is take care of themselves, mental health, go to school, careers, wouldn't he, if he is a men's rights advocate, I don't know if he's actually a men's rights advocate, but if he speaks to men, wouldn't he just generally agree that men need to be better? But when women say it, it's the problem. All these men are giving men advice on being better, going to the gym, going to school, speaking better, not being antisocial. Like, all of this is men's improvement. If men aren't supposed to be better, if there is not a necessity for men to be better, these channels wouldn't exist on the premise that they are there to help men be better. So when women say men should be better, unless you're saying that not only are women wrong in their assertion that men should be better, that you too are wrong in creating a channel premised on the idea that men should be better. Why are you now mad? Why are women now delusional that they want men to be better? Let him cook.
But the reality is that this needs to be said. The man that some women expect to date doesn't exist outside of her head. Okay?
Okay, the man that some women expect to date do not exist outside of their head. The word some is doing a lot of work here. Is some majority? Is some minority? Is some a critical mass? Is some 3 women? Is some 4 women? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 women? 10 women? 8 women? 9. Anyway, so the word some is doing a lot of work, but if it is a minority, it doesn't seem like a problem he should address. So I'm assuming his statement here implies that a lot of women, a critical mass, let's say, of women, are expecting men to be perfect in the way that they see in their head. I don't think any, I probably shouldn't speak in absolute either. I don't think most, upwards of 90% of women, believe that the man in their head, if it is perfect and does not do any wrong, exists at all. But I want to get into his realm, so I'm trying to accept what he's saying. So let's hear it.
The man that some of you expect to date doesn't exist in the world. He only exists in your head. Your expectations are the reason that you can't find a man that you could actually be in relationship with, because you are married and in love with the image of the man that you have either created in your head or think that you are entitled to.
All right. So dating is harder because the claim is that dating is harder. One of the reasons is because women's expectations are too high, their standards essentially. And an example of that is that women have in their mind the ideal man and they're married to this ideal, and therefore dating is hard for them. I Okay, sure. I can accept this if you want an A on an exam and you are studying for that A. Does the exam change its difficulty if you decide to stop studying for the A and stop wanting to get an A and stop stressing about getting an A and say, based on what I know, I can get a C? And a C is a passing grade. So I'll get a C. Does that mean the exam is any the I feel like changing your expectation doesn't make the dating any harder. It just means you have accepted to date someone who doesn't meet your expectation. You have to now prove that women have these unrealistic expectation, and if they would remove it, they would have really good lives with men. You have to now prove that there are men out there a lot for the number of women out there who, if women just lower their standards, because that's what they're asking, then the women would be happier with these men who they've lowered their standards for. That's what you need to prove. All right.
And that's happening for a number of reasons, right? We could talk about how Disney has sort of sold and indoctrinated women into this Prince Charming notion that there's this utopian man out there for each and every single one of you who is perfect and never does anything wrong and never loses his temper and just really isn't a human being, right? He's a cartoon character.
Sorry, I know I'm pausing a lot for copyright purposes, but also I want to interrupt because I want to. Um, who are the execs in Disney making the decisions about cartoons and what to promote? Who are the writers of these fairy tales? Who are the publishers of these fairy tales? Are women telling women and indoctrinating women in a patriarchy about what man, the perfect man is? Are women playing these men on screen? Are women dressing up as men in these movies and portraying what a perfect man is? Or are men telling women in a patriarchy what men they should look for? That's an interesting thought. Let's continue. I won't answer.
And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I'm not trying to degrade you. I'm not saying that you don't deserve an exceptional love.
You are trying to degrade. You just said women are delusional. You don't turn to an entire group of people and call them delusional and then say, I am not trying to degrade or disrespect. You are. You put it in your thumbnail. You created a clickbait. And that clickbait was intentional. It was intentional. The calling women delusional is a red pill calling card. You know exactly what you're doing. You are being disrespectful. You're intentionally doing so. Don't then hide that. You're not the good guy. Calling a group of people delusional and not providing any evidence, not defining what you mean by delusional, but then going full force into this analysis while saying women are delusional is wild. And then pretending like you are not being mean and vindictive. You are. Like, own it. Stop pretending to be the good guy. Own the fact that you are being disrespectful.
I'm not even saying that you don't deserve an exceptional relationship or a man who elevates your life, that you admire, that you respect. I hope that and wish that for all of you, which is why I'm having this conversation.
No. Why you're having this conversation is that the way that women have determined that they want love, you are telling them that it's too much. So whatever they define as a man that they can look up to, I don't know why you need to look up to a man and care about any of that leadership foolishness. But if they've defined it for themselves, what you are doing right now is you're telling them that it's too much and they should change it. So you are not okay with their standards. You want them to change their standards because dating has gotten harder. And by that you mean dating has gotten harder for men. Because when women lower their standards, the only people that benefit are the people they are dating who get access to them because they've lowered their standards. So you were talking about making the dating market beneficial to men. I don't know who you think you're fooling, but we see right through you. The whole thing is made of glass.
So Disney and modern commentary has sold an image of a man to women that is unrealistic. And that man is usually an omni-man.
Men have sold an image to women about men that is unrealistic. Yes, men sold women an image about themselves, about ourselves, that is unrealistic. Yes, yes. And women today have woken up to the realization that it is not real. And they're deciding to be by themselves or force men to meet these expectations. And if you can't, well, you shouldn't have sold the image. Bye. I don't fully believe that. I'm just adding that for emphasis on the fact that men are the one who sold women the image of manhood because they wanted to trick women. And instead of being tricked, women are saying, no, you said you were going to do this in a patriarchy. You now need to do this in a patriarchy. You need to make more than me. I am working and you need to make more than me. You make more than me. I'm not dating down. And men are mad. You told women that's the patriarchal bargain. Uphold your end.
I call him Omni-Man. And Omni-Man is the man who can do everything all the time the best and better than any other man. It's an impossible role for men to fill, right? So there's a lot of women that, and it went viral, the looking for a guy in finance, 6'5", blue eyes, whatever the hell the thing was, right? And while that may have been a joke, for some women, that is literally the thing. They have dialed in their selection preference.
He keeps saying for some women, and I don't know why he keeps doing this. Is this majority, minority, a critical mass? The women in Miami, in the club scene, the women, the Amish women, who are you what women are you talking about? This does not make any sense. Like, what percent of women's standards are too high? Who is selling women these images of manhood? Oh, it's men. So you are upset with women for accepting that which men have told them about ourselves?
To be such a narrow bandwidth that they ignore the men that they would actually be fulfilled, satiated, satisfied by, deeply in love with, because their criteria and their list, your list and your criteria matters more than the man who is in front of you. You miss out on the genuine, loving, lovable man that you could fall in love with in front of you because he doesn't meet the criteria that you laid out before you met him. Now, I think that that's part of the expectations, but the other part is that for the most part, women's mating strategy or selection strategy has not evolved with the current state of the world, right? Women generally look for, you ladies generally look for men who are up and to the right. You want to date men who are up and to the right, meaning that they have more financial stability or ability to procure goods, services, finances, or they have some type of elevated status. And as women have risen economically, as women have risen in status, the selection preferences hasn't changed. And so a lot of you are out there making more money than the majority of men. You have more social status, more sort of economic status than the men that are out there. And yet your expectations of who you are going to date are still the same.
And let me be clear, because I'm trying to accept his reality, but let's step out of his framework for a minute to actually give you the rundown on this. So if you Google this, every research, and we're going to go through like maybe one or two here. So when we think about assortative mating, yes, assortative mating, where individuals tend to choose partners with similar traits to them, is generally considered the norm in human population, meaning it is widely observed phenomenon across different societies and for various traits like intelligence, social class, and physical appearance. People tend, in short, to date people who are similarly situated to them, right? Women in the new economy, women are now out earning or making the same as their husbands in nearly half of marriage. So nearly 50% of marriage, women decided to date across or down. If you go to the Pew Research on this, although men are still the breadwinners in most households, the share of women making just as much or more than their husbands has nearly tripled in the last 50 years, a new Pew Research survey has found. Then we continue in Pew. In a growing share of US marriages, husbands and wife earn about the same. We look at the trajectory of husband being the breadwinner going down, a more egalitarian household, that means men and women making about the same amount, like going up. So when this man comes on the screen and says, women aren't adapting to the new reality, they still want men who makes more than them, it's like, no, the research does not say that. In fact, putting up the graph again from Pew Research, households where husband or primary sole breadwinner is going down, while a more egalitarian role is going up. Now, it is true that while women are more likely to prefer men who make more than them, this is just statistically insignificant, because when it comes to the reality, first and foremost, the range is not outside of the scope of whichever socioeconomic bracket that woman is in. Though, if you ask anyone, they would, if they could create their own reality, prefer to be with someone who can provide whatever it is that they want. It does not mean that they would not date someone who is not perfectly situated in the ideal man they create in this perfect scenario. So I think it's weird to just take that as a fact. You don't want me to filter for race. You don't want me to filter this research for race and talk about which groups of men and women are hypergamous and which are not. So the general statement being made that women aren't adapting to the new economy is not true. They are adapting to the new economy. Now, the whole thing about men in finance, 6'5", blue eyes, whatever, it's funny, and people were doing it, and it sounds like you're just mad because you didn't fit the criteria, and a lot of men don't fit the criteria. He's married, but he still don't fit the criteria. And 1% of the population is 6'5". So if women were only wanting 6'5" men, then you would have an argument, except when you look into marriage, 1% still translate to 1% of married men are 6'5". So women are also marrying men who are not 6'5" with blue eyes and work in finance. It was a joke. And you can say there are some people who want it. That they want it doesn't mean they won't date someone that doesn't have it. That's the problem. You shoot too far. Now, I want to go to his comments. Before we continue the video, I wanted to go to his I wanted to go through his comments so we can read one of these comments together. We're going to read some more in the conclusion, but I want to read one of the comment. And the comment says, it's on the. It says, I dated in Los Angeles as a very single guy for 20 years. And one thing struck me above all other factors. The women I encountered were absolutely unwilling to be led by me. Then you're not a leader. Then you are not a leader, period. I worked hard at all the alpha hallmarks, good looks. We'll come back to that good looks in a minute because I did click the profile. And I'm going to show you the profile. good looks, well groomed, big muscle guy, body, high paying career, didn't matter. Social media has convinced the vast majority of women that they hold all the cards. Therefore, they call the shots. Their way or the highway. I never met a woman who would cooperatively take direction. Whoa. Direction from me until I ditched my life in Los Angeles and became a passport bro. All my life I was trained to be the leader, yet no woman I tried to date would allow me to lead. Then girl, your training sucked. Your training sucked. Maybe you're not a leader of these women. You might, probably do need to go overseas to find someone you can lead. Talking about leader. They fought me for it. That can't work. I had to leave my country entirely to find cooperative women. Now, this is the answer. This is the man who said he worked on his good looks. Here. You see, y'all see this man. Let me know down in the comment if you agree about his good looks and that he is good looking. And I'm only doing that because he said it. So just an FYI, I'm not going to comment on the man look.
But the dating pool that exists within those selection preferences is so astronomically small. Now, men, let's talk to you.
You can say the content creator isn't the one who said men should lead, right? But here is a video. This is a video. This man is talking about this video right here about men being leaders and how men should lead. And he's teaching men to lead. So you want to uphold the dusty patriarchal bargain where men are the leader and women should submit to them because they're the leader, right? But they shouldn't be the provider. Like women should settle for men who cannot compete with them. And I'm using competition very directly here because how are you going to lead a woman who is out earning you? Like, I feel like you've just messed up the patriarchal bargain. You've just messed up the patriarchal bargain. You want men to lead, but you want women to settle for men who don't make enough in a patriarchy to support their family on their own. And the same woman who is helping the man with his role in terms of providing in a patriarchy should also let that man lead her? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You have them, and when you meet someone, you put them up against your standards and see if they're met. What do you mean? You meet a man and just drop your standards? No. No.
Because men are disenfranchised.
Put a pin in men are disenfranchised. Because I have a ton of question about men being disenfranchised, but
And again, I'm just going to say this right out of the gates. Neither one is better or worse, right? This is a equal 100% contribution to the gong show of modern relationships and modern dating, okay?
the claim that is being made here, so if we're keeping tabs, I think this is at claim 3, and it's for men. Neither is better or worse when it comes to men versus women, disenfranchisement versus women, quote unquote, being delusional. To that, I say absolutely not. Are women unaliving men? One is definitely worse. You cannot flatten everything to both sides, every single argument. Dating is hard for men because of men. Men are harming women more frequently than women are harming men, and in more dangerous ways, I might add, about the harm that men are perpetuating against women in the dating market. Please look at the stats. Please look at the femicide rate. Like, I cannot even engage with this without pulling up this article that talks about the 70,000 men who were in a group chat discussing how they abuse women. I can't call this an anecdote because 70,000 plus men is not an anecdote. It's an anecdote. It's an epidemic. It's an issue, right? So let's read this together. Let's go over this. So the Daily Mail reports, and rape chat, groups with 70,000 members discussing how they have R their sisters and mothers, offering their wives to be sexually abused, and sharing advice is uncovered. So let me just say trigger warning. Trigger warning. This is really disgusting and disturbing. When you hear a man online flattening what the dating market is like for women versus men and pretending like they're equal and the issues that both face in the dating market are equal, it's not. They're lying. This man is a liar, and he's here to get you to believe that men have it hard. That's the only thing he's doing, because we all know the truth about how difficult it is for women to maintain physical safety. If we're quantifying how hard it is to date based on safety, then yes, women have it harder than men when it comes to physical safety. And the reason is because men are out of their mind when it comes to dating and abusing women. So, again, trigger warning. Let's go to the Daily Mail. Our chat. Groups with 70,000 members discussing how they have R their sisters and mothers, offering their wives to be sexually abused and sharing advice is uncovered. An investigation has uncovered multiple R chats where thousands of men discuss how to R and sexually assault women, including their own mothers and sisters. The group, which have up to 70,000 members from a variety of countries, meet on the encrypted messaging app Telegram to share pictures and even live videos of SA. Members have also claimed to have assaulted their wives and female family members, with some even sharing advice and instruction on how to do it. In one shocking instance, a German man said he would sedate his wife and allow other men to sexually assault her. The existence of the so-called R-chat were discovered over the course of a year-long investigation by German broadcaster ARD and its STRG investigative team. According to the Daily Telegraph, the users also swapped tips on how to sedate partners and share links to online shops where members could buy sedatives disguised as hair products. Over the course of the investigation, some of the groups have been shut down, but members were sent links to join new ones. The revelation comes on the final day of the Avignon mass rape trial in France, which has seen Dominique Pellicot, alongside 50 other men, handed jail sentences for drugging, awing, and sexually abusing Pellicot's now ex-wife. Come again when you say the dating is hard for both men and women. Women have to keep their standards high because of things like this. And when we talk about a standard, we're not just talking about money. Women have to be vigilant about their safety, both physically and mentally. Like, why is this man up here talking like this, pretending like there isn't a bunch of men going around sharing? And if it was like one or two men, lock him up, right? But when it's upwards of 70,000 men in a chat and it took an investigation by the to uncover it, like, what world are you living in when you flatten the issues men face and the issue women face to make them equal? Keep your standards high and do not trust these men. This is not a 100% contribution to the problem. The problem in dating, most of it, is that men don't know what to do now that women have rights. That's the problem. And do women with these high standards complain to men? Like, they say, women are delusional. That's the claim against women. Mind you, women are delusional. Okay. Did these women tell you they would prefer not to be single? And if they would prefer not to be single, would they prefer to lower their standards and get a random degenerate man or be single? All right, let us get him to the men claim.
Women being delusional and men being disenfranchised, one's not better than the other, one's not worse than the other. They are equally contributing to a systemic problem that is hurting people in getting the relationships and the love that they ultimately want. So let's talk to you guys.
All right, let's do some definition, some basic definition, because absolutely not. So to be disenfranchised means that you were deprived of a right or privilege. You were deprived of a right or privilege. What are men being deprived of and by whom? Do men have a right to access women's bodies? That's my first question. Do men have a right to access women's bodies? If no, and the answer is in fact no. If no, and the answer is in fact no, a third time in the name of Dr. Umar, if no, and the answer is in fact no, then men are not being disenfranchised. Okay, awesome, case closed. That was easy. I don't know why there's 6 minutes left of video time. Men aren't being disenfranchised. You don't have any right or privilege to women's body. You don't have, you, by virtue of being men, by virtue of your existence, you should not have access to women's bodies. So why are we having a conversation? You weren't disenfranchised.
Men are disenfranchised. Why are you disenfranchised? Well, one of the things that I hear a lot as soon as this comes up is, well, of course, men are disenfranchised. Women are X, right? Women are X. I'm disenfranchised because women are this way. They want too much. They're not loyal.
Wait, you just said you said women were delusional and they want too much. You just said that. If you confirm in your dusty mind that women want too much, then you can't be mad at men for agreeing with you that women want too much, and then you're mad at them for saying, why are you saying women want too much? You just said it. You just said it. Ugh.
So many women are jacked up on antidepressants, or so many women aren't taking care of themselves and they're overweight, or so many women just hate men. There's no more faithful, good, loyal women left. And so men are disenfranchised because they have bought into this notion that they can't get a relationship because there's something wrong with women.
Do you know what disenfranchise mean? Nothing you just explained is disenfranchised, and men aren't disenfranchised because they don't have women, because they don't have a right or privilege to women. This is not by virtue of their birth that they should have access to. No. I don't know why you use the word disenfranchised. Sad, lonely, dumb, nothing, weak, ain't nothing able. You could have used any variation of words.
So you guys have bought into this notion, men, so many of you have bought into this sort of women are the problem. Women are the problem. It's not me.
You just said women want too much from men who don't have it. If that's the baseline for which you're starting, then yes, women are the problem in these men's mind if women are delusional in your worldview. What are you talking about? Like, are you saying men should improve and be better? Because if you say that, then why would you be mad at women for wanting them to be better? Or you're saying that the women's standards are way too high, but you didn't point out a standard. These women are literally saying, take a shower, get a job, go to school. Nothing women have asked for seems out of the ordinary. Even when you say women want men who are doing better than them in a patriarchy financially, that makes sense. How much lower do you want women to go in terms of their standards for a man? Like I feel like they're in the pit. Women's standards when it comes to men are in the pits of hell. And I'm not just talking about black women. I'm talking about women. Men are getting praise for babysitting their children. The fact that you use the word babysitting in reference to these men kids is nasty and diabolical work. Don't do this. Don't do this.
It's not because maybe I'm awkward. It's not because maybe I haven't put the effort into dress myself well or develop more social skills or, you know,
If you are dragging men like this and say they're useless, socially awkward, don't bathe, don't shower, don't have money, don't have education, can't speak, can't do anything, need a woman to take care of them, if you're dragging men like this, you would need to first get men together and get them to a level where you find them acceptable to women before you say women's standards are too high. Maybe they need to be higher so men can achieve or strive for something, and then women can lower it after men have strived and you think they have met some base level of acceptability for a relationship. You now need to discuss that with men first before you start telling women to lower their standard, because at the end of the day, the one getting pregnant is the woman, the one getting abused is the woman, the one getting unalived is the woman. So I think that women's standard, there is a biological necessity for women to have extraordinarily high standards. Yes. Yes. There is a necessity to have high standards for women. And until you have men meet your standards, sir, then why are you telling women to lower their standards? We're not meeting nowhere in the middle. Ain't nobody meeting nothing in the middle. Let these men get to a threshold that you find acceptable, and at that threshold, then you can go talk to women to negotiate. But until then, sucks to suck.
Turn myself into, or am in the process of turning myself into the best version of myself that would be the most attractive to women. No, you've bought into this bullshit notion that you can't get a woman because there's something wrong with women. And you're not willing to look at yourself as maybe part of the contributing problem and factor to the fact that you are single, women keep breaking up with you, you can't hold down a relationship, you find a relationship with women that you don't actually like and you stay in that relationship. You're at the epicenter of the issue, and the notion that it's women's fault is part of the problem.
This man just annoyed me. He's just talking about side of his neck. He just wanted to create a framework for addressing both sides, because that still makes sense. None of this makes sense. You can't open with women are delusional and want too much and then go and address men saying they're disenfranchised, like as if that is a fault of the man. When you say someone is disenfranchised, what you mean is someone is taking something from that person or that group of people, usually in the context of voting. It's not saying the group has done anything wrong. So the word disenfranchised linguistically makes no sense when you're trying to compare men's bad behavior to women's delusion. That'll make no sense.
It's part of the problem that you are disenfranchised. The second thing, the second reason why men are disenfranchised. So I'm saying that straight out the gates because I can hear and I've seen all of the comments on YouTube and all the comments on Instagram of men being like, yeah, of course I'm disenfranchised because the legal system around divorce is just such garbage and men are blah, blah, blah. Put all that aside for a moment, okay? It's not that I disagree with that. It's that you can make the things that are out of your control the reason why you don't have the love life that you want all day long, and you're just going to stay miserable, okay? So let's put those things out of the way.
Right. But if those things are legitimate, they are not. They're not legitimate. But if those things are legitimate, why would they put that aside? That's the whole legal aspect in men, quote unquote, losing rights. Not true. Not true. Just accepting a reality here. Would be disenfranchisement. That would be a better argument for whatever, girl.
Let's stop blaming women and let's pull back to your own sense of sovereignty and authority. You are not a victim to women. But that brings me to reason number 2.
Wait, to be fair, let me just say, he said he was going to list 3 reasons in the beginning for women, and he only lists 1. And there's a compounding one where women are delusional, want too much, and the second part of the same issue is that women have not adapted to the new dating market. That was one issue still. So he didn't list 3. So I don't know. His listing is kind of weird. But also, if you've labeled women delusional and their standards are too high, but I'm just repeating myself at this point, so I'm just going to play.
Men are disenfranchised with women because of the same damn thing that has existed within men for thousands of years since the dawn of time, which is men's unconscious fear of women.
Men do not fear women. Men do not fear, do not accept this as true. It is not true. Men don't fear women. The way men have been unaliving women, all about abusing women, ain't no fear. There's no fear. There's no fear of women. I watched this already. I know he's going to use fear of rejection, but it's so weird to gender the fear of rejection when, like, everyone fears rejection. So here we go.
Men, at a fundamental level, are afraid of women and can't admit it. Most of you guys are struggling to make relationships work because you're afraid of rejection. You're afraid of not being picked. You're afraid of how to handle a woman who is clear and resolute about what she wants, or she's boundaried.
You're afraid of rejection. You're afraid of relationship. You're afraid of all. None of that says you're afraid of women. None of it. You just told women to not have boundaries. All right. Okay, that's an overstep. Very too far an overstep. Let me pull back. You just told women to lower their standards and not be that resolute in what they want, and now you're telling men to, like, live up to these expectations. This man don't know what he want to say. This man does not know what he want to say, and it's annoying me.
You are afraid of her emotional and maybe even sensual potency, right? You say that she's too much. You say that she's whatever it is that you're complaining about, but you're afraid of women. You're afraid of how they act or respond. Men are also afraid of getting lost or being swallowed up.
Swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Have you gone through a time of swallowing where everything was overwhelming? And
I highly doubt, highly doubt that men are afraid of being swallowed. Let me stop. Let me stop. Let's just continue.
By a woman. I'm afraid that I'll get lost when I fall in love. I'm afraid that I'll lose my sense of independency. I'm afraid that I'll lose my sovereignty, right? We as men, part of the role that allows for the masculine feminine dance to happen is that you step into and cultivate and curate a sense of risk and adversity in the mating and dating pursuit. The act of pursuing a relationship.
So he wants masculine and feminine dance, but the woman should not want the man to make more than her. Okay, girl, period. So this man leans very heavily into patriarchy. He's not fighting against patriarchy, where he's like, oh, egalitarian. No. Egalitarian in terms of income, but you should submit and there should be a masculine and feminine dance. Ain't no masculine and no feminine nothing. You need to provide or get out of her face. Like, what do you mean? Let me hear what else he has before I jump to the conclusion.
Is the cultivation of your anti-fragility, for lack of a better term. It's the cultivation of you saying, I'm going to take a risk of getting rejected, of getting turned down, of getting hurt, of putting myself out there, of being real and letting somebody really know who I am. And maybe having that person not choose me, right? In the act of dating and relationships, you are developing a sense of having resiliency in the face of adversity, being able to get turned down by a woman.
All right, girl, I'm tired of this, man. Let's just jump to my conclusion, because ain't nobody got time for none of this. All right, this man isn't saying anything. These men still approach, they keep prioritizing their need over the woman's comfort. This premise, I believe, is fundamentally flawed. Dating is hard for men, and because of this, men make it hell for women. Nothing this man on the screen that was talking just now, nothing he says makes sense to me. He wants patriarchy only to apply to women and the good parts to apply to men. Let men lead without having these men provide sounds to me like absolute insanity. But before we drag and continue, I want us to read some of these comments because I think it is important to look into these comments, and then I'll get my final thoughts. So the first comment on the screen, hopefully, the first comment on the screen says, "Dude, think online apps and DEI don't influence. WTF?" And I'm thinking this person is saying DEI means that women are getting hired over men, and that's why women are more successful. Therefore, there is a systemic issue in his mind whereby women are promoted and men aren't. Now, who is in control of these promotion? Who is the execs in these company? I don't know. Probably men, right? Like, anyway, a second comment said, "I appreciate that you try to share a positive solution-oriented message and talk real talk to both men and women. I don't resonate entirely with your message to men, though. I don't think it's fair to put all the social, economical, legal, and cultural reasons for this disenfranchisement aside because it is so significant. The changes that has happened in the economy, social fear, culture, etc., has made most men, by definition, invisible to women. Invisible. It sounds nice to put the blame equally on men and women, but I don't think that is actually the case. For sure, we have to take responsibility, but that is not the same as taking the blame for it. All right, let's play your dusty game. If there is a legal, economic, and cultural reason for why women are not seeing men and for men disenfranchisement, are women to be blamed? So women orchestrated this entire new economy and system and legal framework and disenfranchised men. Are you saying women are to be blamed? Because if so, then they are your betters. Like, what do you mean? Like, if so, because what you were saying is the rational, reasonable men were disenfranchised by women. Well, we move. I'm not going to stay any amount of time on any of these comments. I'm just reading them. This person says, "My biggest issue whenever people like to blame men for not pursuing or approaching women is the notion that we are so scared to do so. No, in fact, many of us have approached, we have made advances, and although there are some really respectful declines, there are also some very downright rude and nasty women who seem completely appalled that you even thought you had a chance." This sounds like it's coming from a deep place of personal experience. That is the reality. It is not that we haven't approached or are too scared. It's that we have and gotten very miserable results, so we just quit. All right, sorry. I can see how you would not want to approach if you are being shot down in a very disrespectful way. I'm not sure if these men have the ability to read emotional cues, because I think that I can tell by someone's face whether or not I should approach them. Like, I feel like I don't think I've ever in my entire life approached someone on a romantic level that shot me down or like was disrespect. Like, who are these women that you were like going up to? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like you have to play the game kind of like with this. Like, I do feel bad if you're like going up to someone. I'm imagining you going up to someone in a coffee shop and they're like, "Oh my God, disgusting, get away from me, ew," and doing it really, really loudly. And like, I can see how that, I can, I can, I can see how that could be a problem for you, sir. I empathize here, but it's, again, if you prioritize people's comfort, you go to someone and say, "Excuse me," and they're like, "Yes." Just go, leave. If you approach someone and they're like, "Yes," just leave. Like, just leave. You don't have to finish. Abort mission. Abort mission. Like, just let it go. At that point, it's fine to just be like, you know what? It's fine. I, with full conviction, believe that if women were just polite when rejecting a man, or would at least give an average man a chance instead of waiting for Mr. Perfect that doesn't exist, that men would start approaching and try to meet women again. A lot of us are just done because of the nasty reality of the results we have gotten by doing so. Well, if a lot of y'all weren't going up to women who were trying to be nice and you are persistent, even if they say, look, I am not into you sternly, you all are persistent. So some women have resorted to like being really disrespectful because if they are nice, you won't leave them alone. I've seen this. I've actually seen this in Japan a lot, actually, and I feel really terrible because I think there's a cultural difference where women, when they're rejecting men, in Japan in particular, they are very nice about it and they don't want to offend people. And I think a lot of men can't read these women telling them no. A lot of American men there can't read these women telling them no as no. And I find that really disheartening because it is very clearly no, right? Like if the cultural difference is not that significant that you don't know when no is no. You know, you just keep persisting. And what these men are often, I'm not saying this guy is saying it. It sounds like he is, but I'm not saying he is. It sounds like what they want is for you to give them a chance. Well, he said give these average men a chance. No. You said you want women to be clear to tell you no without being rude. You can make that request, but understand the reality that you're in, that they don't have to abide. But that's not what you want. You want them to say yes. Because you then say, oh, you should give men a... No, they shouldn't give men a chance. Anything about give a chance doesn't work. Just say, I wish women weren't disrespectful when they reject me. And then the women will say, I wish you weren't rude and disrespectful after we rejected you. So, sucks to suck. And like, again, I don't know in what world you can see someone and not know. Like, you can approach someone and not know within the first couple seconds if you should ask. To be clear, even if it might be a yes, it's going to be a no from me. I'm not going to finish the statement. If I'm even walking over to you and I see a whiff of like mood change, I'm just not going to do it, right? Just do that. Like, and these men are completely out of tune with their emotions, so it feels like they don't know when people are like not into it based on their body language. So this person says, hate to agree, but this is part of the answer. Seeking the woman out there that want a relationship. Only way to talk to them and ask them out. However, I do think our society has made it more difficult for relationships to naturally form, especially with a partner equal to you in many ways. What? I don't understand that. So if it's harder because they're equal? That's what I'm getting. If that's not what you're getting, let me know what you're getting. This sounds like they're saying because women and men are equal in the economy, then the relationship is hard. So they prefer when women were subjugated. Unfortunate part is to make the younger men like myself shoulder the burden of having to just plow through it all and also fix it. I mean, that language is weird. Next person. As I always say, don't point out a problem without providing a solution. I agree with everything you said and will admit that I've been the scared passive man. But what can I do moving forward? How do I get out of this mindset? Where can I go to get help with these issues? Don't know. Good luck searching. The problem is definitely not 50-50. It's very lopsided, actually. Okay. This other person says, maybe they should start a constructive group chat. Maybe men should start a constructive group chat. Oh, wait. Yeah, no, period. No, period. point out to them how toxic and degenerate these men have been. Like, y'all sitting up here thinking these men are these little lambs who women are just telling, leave me alone. No, these men are trash, have been trash, and abusing women. I was going to put the game's tweet up or post up, but I don't care nothing about what the game got to say. So let me just say, please don't listen to this man. This is all about women bending over backwards to make it easier for men to have access to them. Don't do that. In any case, I think that your standards aren't high enough if you ask me, but ain't nobody asked me any of that. I think they're not high enough. I think you should hire them. I don't think women are delusional. I think if they're delusional about the fact that a lot of these men are good when they're not. I don't think women are delusional more so than any other group, men. We are all delusional at something. So I just don't think this is fair to say. In any case, I'm going to end it here because I've been going too long and it's really late now. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I go live on Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to have a live interaction, if you want to come up and talk to me, I usually drop the link at the end of the show so we can have a analytical look at culture and politics. So see you then. Bye. I'm not gone. I want to remind you all that come March, I will be posting again on my Debunking Excellence channel. The channel will be probably tagged or listed somewhere. Go to my Debunking Excellence channel if you want to have a more personal, intimate look at me and my ideas and how I come up with ideas and how I became who I am. I don't know who I am yet. So that is going to be sort of an open journal that is good for public consumption, not my deepest, darkest secrets. For the people in the book club, we are reading The Kingdom of the Wicked. We're going to be meeting once each month at the end of each month, and I'll post a link for us to come in and chat. I will try to give updates in the community tab for those members, regarding the book and how it's going, and so that we can all keep track of where we are. But we're going to read the book in its entirety in a month. And then at the end of the month, we'll do a summary of the book and discuss it for members only. So I'm very excited. The first book in the trilogy, so January, February, and March, we will be doing the reading, right? We'll read one book each month, starting this month with the Kingdom of the Wicked. So I'll post that. It should already be posted by the time this video comes out. But yeah, all right. Bye for real now. Bye.